how would you respond in a zombie apocalypse? And
I love that question. Wait, I actually want to know. I'm sorry. I want to know because I have not actually fully asked you this question and I don't know your answer. What would you do if I wanted to open up our marriage? You're like, the heck is happening right now? I was going to go to sleep.
daughter, you get $250,000. We get $198 million. Have fun.
She'll get it someday.
Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Eden.
And we are Majorly Married.
Okay. This week was a little crazy.
The past 2 weeks. Almost the past 3 weeks. A little crazy in this household.
Yeah. So we were a very sick household.
We were in California visiting family. It was very fun. Wedding. And then we got home.
It was like on the drive home.
We were planning this like, all right, on Monday we're running at this. This is like our plan.
I was gonna like really focus in on work. You were gonna like knock out stuff around. Yeah.
It was this perfect plan. It sounded so good. And then,
Blown to hell.
yes, sickness. Sickness came.
No, you got like really sick.
Well, first it was you and our daughter got sick. So that was like the beginning
But it was like
signs.
a cold.
It was like a cold. And you were like, I'll take our daughter. We're both sick. We're in this together. We'll try and keep you from getting sick. And I was like, perfect. That sounds great. You and our daughter were on the tail end of your sickness. Thought I was in the clear. And then boom, like delirium one night. Bad fever.
You don't ever just get like a little sick. Like when you get sick, your delirium is one of my favorite things ever. Like you don't ever need to be high.
I'm saying random stuff. I'm seeing objects. It's wild.
A fever is your high.
Yeah. Not fun. Don't recommend it. Bad high. Get rid of it. Yeah. So then I got a fever and then started developing stuff on my hand. And I was like, what is this? Like, am I getting hives or something?
Yeah. I mean, originally we thought it was strep. But it was like, why do you have such bad strep and we have nothing?
You guys got a cold and I got strep? What is this? And then I went to the doctor and they're like, you have hand, foot, mouth disease. And I was like, what is, I don't even know what that is. But it's a virus that you can get and then it develops bumps on your hands, inside your mouth and your feet. And it goes with a fever. And then I had a lot of congestion too. I don't know if I got a cold on top of it, but and then it's highly contagious. So I was basically quarantined for over a week.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an exciting couple weeks. But I am not contagious anymore. I'm basically fully healed.
And I am basically exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah, today I like finally started really taking back over responsibilities for our daughter.
Like you got sick and 4 months sleep regression hit at the exact same time. And I was like, what the heck are you doing in another room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry.
As I heard you snoring across the hall.
Hey, I couldn't help it.
No, I'm glad you're healthy. And that's marriage, right?
Yep, that's marriage. Luckily, I was on paternity leave, finishing that.
It's true.
So at least I didn't have to like use sick time and it all worked out. It was tough. At least we're through it.
Yeah, I'm glad you feel better.
Yeah, but it was a stressful time, or was it traumatic?
Oh my gosh, you're referencing old things. So we should probably jump into today's topic.
Yeah. So
we've got a fun one today. It is talking about the what if game. It's this game that we have kind of played over the course of our relationship, and yeah.
The what if game. Essentially, It's just asking questions. So we're calling it a game, but I mean, in our relationship and our marriage, it's not necessarily a game. We don't sit down and go, "Hello, Eden, want to play the what if game today?" It's just naturally asking each other questions, and what the way that it's worked in our relationship. Literally, it started. I think we're both very curious people, and it can be sparked by anything. We're watching a show, and it's, how would you handle that situation? What would you do if this thing happened? And I think as we started to reflect on this episode, it's like that game, that trait is something that is this combination of dreaming and planning and problem solving and aligning.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's really a low stakes situation to have potentially some like very real world consequence.
Yeah.
Conversations, I'm thinking about, sometimes you can wait as a couple to get into some really big topics until the time comes, like you keep kicking the can down the road and then the time has come and it's time to deal with it. This is a way to have some of those conversations in a fun, lighthearted way. It's not even that you're necessarily trying to, you're just creating opportunities to discover things together. I think one of the times in our relationship that I really remember this happening in such an impactful way was we were just sitting on the couch early on in our relationship, and I think we had kind of been asking each other some lighthearted questions and stuff like that, but we asked each other, would you ever consider moving to a new place, moving cross country?
I think it was as we were like getting to know each other, and I was telling you how I grew up in California, I moved to Arizona, went to Wyoming, then back to California, then back to Arizona. Yeah. I'd like traveled all over the place, and I liked moving. And so that question had come up.
Yeah. What if you moved across the country? It was interesting because you already had all that experience of traveling around. I didn't. And I felt like once we started diving into it, we started to uncover a lot of each other's history, a lot of our fears, a lot of our dreams. Like all of that was bundled into our answer. And the craziest part about it was that it continued to lead into a decision later on down the road. We kept referencing this conversation.
That one what if game was related to us moving across the country when we got married.
Yeah.
And heck, we're still talking about like, where would we want to live? Would we live in another state? How would it affect our lives? This one what if is still sparking conversations to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been one of my favorite things that we've explored in our relationship. And I think it's important to understand why that's such a valuable tool to us. I see it as these hypothetical situations that cultivate connection, intimacy, whether that's due to the deep nature of the topic or if it's just, we're getting to know each other. We're having fun together. We're being best friends and dreaming and laughing. I can think back to some of my best relationships were with the friends I played pretend with growing up as a kid. And it's the
adult real life version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other ways to be adults and play pretend, but
it's another episode.
Yeah. So I think it's a great tool to understand how somebody else works, their thought process, their dreams, their hopes, their past, and kind of align and come together.
Yeah. So let's jump into like, I don't know, the game itself, like the instructions guide on how we do it. But before that, anybody who's listening or watching, thank you so much for listening or watching. Something that could really help us if you want to follow along, subscribe, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. And then we're also launching our website this week,
Yay.
majorlymarried.com. And I think the hope of that is just to house some of these episodes, our episode notes, but I think we really want to start and add resources. So we're going to have one for this what if game, essentially going over the instructions, what is it, and then a bunch of sample prompts. But let's get into that. Let's get into our guide, our instructions, if you will. So when like we mentioned, when this started, we didn't plan here are the rules of the game. As we started to discuss this topic, I think we noticed that there's actually some features that we follow, that instructions that we kind of follow that have been unspoken. It's just been naturally forming throughout our time.
And I think it's important to note that this is different from the what if spiral that might take place in other people's minds. I kind of want to give that as a disclaimer here for people who do deal with anxiety, like myself. You can, when we were talking about it and naming this type of conversation that we have, and we called it the what if game, I was like, ooh, what if games? That's ringing a bell here. That's a game I'm not supposed to play. But that's kind of when you're having this panic spiral, thinking, getting ready for an interview, and what if they don't like me, and what if I fail, and what if I can never get a job again in the future, and what if my husband leaves me, and when the what ifs just turn into a snowball of horror. That is so entirely different than what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a discussion. Yeah. Not always, but usually low stakes, lighthearted. But how do we start, I guess? And I am one of those people that as I am watching a show, or literally at any time, we're walking through the mall, I may see something and I look over to you and I say, how would you react if our daughter wore that? Or whatever, there's somebody playing music on their speakerphone. I'm like, would you ever talk on your speakerphone in public? It's just these random scenarios. It can be a TV show we're watching, whatever it is that sparks these curiosities.
Yeah.
And I think it's always fun. I typically approach it in the fun way.
I think it's also important to establish in your own mind when you're having these conversations the lane that you're in. Is this going to be a lighthearted question that I'm asking? You have to know when you are diving into the deep end. You need to know you're diving into the deep end, and you need to be ready for that conversation. And your relationship needs to be ready for that conversation. So these can be really lighthearted, fun questions. They can be more complex and controversial. They could also be troubleshooting for the future, in a sense, kind of planning what ifs that are still in a dream way, many, many years down the road type of conversation.
Yeah, and we'll get to all the examples of lighthearted ones, more serious, future-focused ones. But I think the third kind of instruction that we noticed is we're never accusatory. It's always questions framed more of how would you? What if we did X, Y, Z? Instead of why don't you ever? How come I always do the dishes? It's never anything accusatory. It's always something that is more, I don't know how to explain it. It's bringing us together rather than trying to tear us apart.
The next guideline that I would say is hold a posture of curiosity, not correction. The whole point of this is to discover your partner and dream together, not to tell them whether or not they're right or wrong. So kind of like the accusation that you were talking about, it's also the correction side where you nitpick and you're like, no, that's not how we're going to do it. And sorry, you're wrong. Which I think can happen on both sides sometimes. Different personalities can go different ways with it. But yeah. Be curious. Ask a question. You don't assume you know the answer. Just let it roll. Let them talk. You might learn something.
Yeah. And I think one of the last ones is there's probably going to be some period of reflection or growth at the end. We have found, if it's helpful, ending with that reflection period, whether it is us discussing, we went down this rabbit hole of what if I got in a car crash and, our one car got broken. And after that discussion, maybe we had to come together and discuss, okay, well, how would we that actually hit an accord. How would we solve that?
Yeah.
I'm an introspective person. I may need to reflect on my own. And then also this reflection can be very formal or it can be informal. It can be like, wow, that's crazy that you would respond to a zombie apocalypse that way, Eden. And it's a little bit more informal and lighthearted versus formal, like, oh, how would we actually handle that?
Yeah, we haven't really locked in on this. It's not an interrogation with your partner. That what if question, part of the reflection purpose is I asked you a question, you're answering, and if the point of this is connection, we're going to talk about it together and make sure that I'm hearing you and I'm understanding you, and if there's anything that I should take away, even if that is in a lighthearted way. It's kind of like weird for someone to make a joke and for you to be like, So just you stay present with each other. In line with what you were saying, though, these sort of low stakes conversations, like you're saying, they can take a time of reflection. Know that in that reflection, sometimes it's going to be such a big conversation that you need to find the appropriate time to address it. If this is happening at like pillow talk at night, it's 11 p.m. and you got work and you need to be up by 5 a.m. and someone drops that they, what would you do if I wanted to open up our marriage? You're like, the heck is happening right now? I was going to go to sleep. And you try to start the conversation because that totally happens.
Yeah.
And then it just goes further down this road where it's like, this is now a huge topic and we can't address this now. Find an appropriate time to circle back to things.
Yeah. In reference to some of those low stakes, let's jump into some of the lighthearted ones. And by lighthearted, I mean the fun ones that I've been kind of referencing, like how would you respond in a zombie apocalypse? And
I love that question. Wait, I actually want to know. I'm sorry. I want to know because I have not actually fully asked you this question and I don't know your answer.
How would I?
Yes. What would you do?
I mean, I watched 5 out of 10 seasons of The Walking Dead, so, I got some knowledge. I've seen World War Z, so it really depends on the zombie type. Is this like a fast-moving zombie? Is this a slow-moving zombie?
So you would analyze the situation?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to have to analyze what's going on. Fill up the bathtub with water, just so you have a water supply. Make sure the car is packed, full gas, ready to go at all times. And then make sure that we try and find our people.
I like it.
How would you respond?
I wouldn't have thought of...
Cry?
No, I would not cry. I would...
Oh, badass.
There's no time to cry. These are fast-moving zombies. No, my first thought was I'd go run up and down the street or wherever I was and try to grab.
You're going outside?
I would try to grab
what is happening?
People and I would try to help people.
So you're getting eaten immediately.
No, in the movies, there's also the people who help other people and survive.
You're the one who would...
They're the hero in the movie.
You're the one who would throw the person into the household as you're getting eaten by the zombies.
Yes, that's the noble person. I know they're not there at the end. Sorry, that was totally...
But that is what we're kind of going for here. is playing out some of these lighthearted topics. Another one that we've done before is, hey, if you won the lotto and it was like $200 million, how would you spend it?
First thing I would do is buy a house right off the bat, and then I'd probably buy another house. I think then I would probably...
That's the real estate side of you.
Yeah, I know. That's not just me being a real estate agent being like, buy a house. I'm a real estate agent. But
would you use
if you need to buy a house, I'm a real estate agent.
Would you use yourself as the realtor?
Of course I would.
You would buy in Arizona?
I'm licensed in other states. Wow, that just took quite the turn. I was talking about buying houses. I buy houses. I would... You got 198 million left.
Okay.
That's a lot of money. I would probably set aside a bunch for our daughter and try to give her as stable a life as she could possibly have in the future.
How much would you set aside for our daughter?
Of that,
well,
probably like at least $250,000.
We won 198 million and you're only setting aside 250,000 for our daughter?
Yeah.
Wow, you're trying to be like Bill Gates over here, like it's all gonna go to charity. She needs to learn how to pick up herself by her bootstraps.
First of all, that's not picking yourself up by your bootstraps at all. Those are some mighty fine bootstraps. If I had those bootstraps, I'd be walking all over this town.
So in this game, you start to realize the values of the person, like, doesn't value our daughter.
Oh my gosh, that is not even true.
I'm just kidding.
It will grow in time. Anyways, we also have to invest in ourselves. It's not like we got a good retirement plan going on.
Daughter, you get $250,000. We get $198 million. Have fun.
She'll get it someday. I don't know. Buy an island. I don't know what comes next. I'd probably buy,
an island.
I'm just saying.
All right, Epstein, calm down.
Don't compare me to Epstein. That's terrible.
All right, so that's how those can derail.
But this is kind of what's happening, right? It's a lighthearted conversation. Nobody here is like, you didn't all of a sudden pivot this into, that is a very unwise choice you're making with your finances. Like, you could have started accusing me.
Exactly. It can turn into a high stakes. If I actually was feeling that, like, wait, hold on. Like, no, seriously, why would you only invest such a small amount of our now vast fortune in our daughter? That's actually kind of effed up, Eden. It can turn serious really quickly. But I think knowing the context of the conversation, it was a lighthearted question. It was not meant to be serious. We're not winning $200 million.
Speak for yourself. Manifest that shit.
We don't play the lotto. That is a fool's game.
Okay.
Unless you win. You're right. We should put our entire life savings on the lotto.
All right, we're going to move on to another question.
I think another one that actually came up in our relationship. I have a family member who traveled around the country a little bit in a fifth wheel, got to view the sights, and I remember asking you, hey, would you ever do that?
Yeah, I do remember you asking me that. And I did feel, even when you asked me, I felt a little bit of pressure because you've got a little bit of an adventure bug in you. And I was like, oh, I
said it with enthusiasm and like hope, like, come on.
There was something there that I was picking up. But my answer was a strong, confident.
Heck no.
You just like G-rated that so hard. I have zero interest in ever doing that. So much so that I'd be like, you go have fun for a year.
I think
I'll stay home.
Especially after hearing how it works, I think it could be fun, but I do think let's just travel with our $200 million.
Exactly. To our island.
Yeah, okay. But these sort of questions can also get very personal or like spicy.
Yeah, I have one.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So, here's your hypothetical situation. This is not happening right now.
Right now.
No.
What are you doing?
This is not happening.
What is the question?
This is just hypothetical. So, what would you do if I were to give you a hall pass and allow you to use that as you will? What would you do?
Well, I'd probably go to the bathroom, because isn't that the purpose of the hall pass?
I don't know. I was
while we're in. You didn't have to ask permission, like, to wander the halls of your school.
No.
You didn't have strict teachers.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, you have a hall pass, and you're not in high school.
I honestly don't know. I would use it on my best friend, Eden Majors.
I was like, dude, I think I have some friends to call for you.
I have no interest in using a hall pass right now, to be completely honest. But you're asking this. Are you hoping to use a hall pass or get one in the future?
Okay, see, to me, a hall pass is this, like, wonderful thing that's out there that you're never going to use because it's ridiculous. But if it happened. So, like, I mean, like, if Michael B. Jordan decided to show up one day and was
I'm
just
in.
like,
Wait, what?
you're in?
What?
And I'm in. If you're in and I'm in, I wonder if he's in for...
Nah.
Okay. No.
I'm good.
Yeah, so I mean, that would be one route.
Let's go back to the last episode. That's an insecurity, babe. That's a comparison that I will never live up to.
You don't want me to be there with you and Michael B. Jordan in bed at the same time?
Absolutely not.
Bummer. No, but I mean, it would be totally different if, you know, this is like, we're joking and we're laughing.
Yeah.
But if I was to all of a sudden be like, yeah, I mean, I'd probably use it like with my ex.
And I would be very thrown off. And I think this would transition into a much deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as it should.
Yeah.
I think sometimes to just laugh at something that's actually really serious, it isn't fair. Recognize when somebody said something significant or something vulnerable and approach that respectfully.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. The next.
Yeah, I mean, I think that takes us into the next, like, section. Like, we talked about those lighthearted ones.
Yeah.
We play this for very serious topics too.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of going with that. Like, if it can transition to serious, it can also just start serious.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the deep end. That is where I like to
Eden's
live.
corner.
Yes, if I am asking a question, it's going to be deep at every turn. You know, at work, they do like the virtual meeting hangouts where you get to know each other and you're able to sometimes customize and pick a question to ask everybody. Mm-hmm. I traumatize people with like how deep I want to go. It's never workplace appropriate, but
Oh my gosh.
I want to know people's souls. So that comes into play when I am doing this. So I've learned a couple of things about how to like broach these harder topics.
Yeah.
And the timing matters. I kind of referenced it earlier, like 11:45 when you are half asleep is not the appropriate time for me to ask you a legitimate deep question for sure. But even to sit there and be like, we're just like talking, like, so what would you do if, you know, I had cancer? Like,
Yeah.
like it's not the right time. I will end up hurt. You might end up hurt depending on, like, you know, if you've got to pick the timing.
And this has happened in our relationship. I've fallen asleep while you've been asking me questions.
so often. I think you're just being really thoughtful and putting a lot of thought into your answer. Then I realize you're not thinking at all.
My mind is racing, and then it's racing asleep.
You're like, "Ooh, where's my escape hatch? Found it."
Then I wake up and I go, what?
But that's kind of the fair part there with the timing. Also knowing your partner and the sort of preparation they need to have a deep conversation. I cannot ambush you with deep questions like right after work, or you need time, and you don't love just living in the deep end. So yeah, you might be tempted to find the escape hatch and be like, I want out of this conversation, when the whole point of this was connection. Yeah. So I'm defeating the purpose if I'm not respectful of your needs while I'm trying to get to know you.
And I actually will put a caveat here. You talked about the anxiety spiral earlier. This is something that has happened on both of our accounts, where I think sometimes a deeper question is stemming from anxiety.
Yeah.
How would you react if I had cancer? Or when I'm sick, I become like my mortal life is in danger at all points. I'm about to die.
I know you had polio last week.
And so I may get a little anxious and ask, like, how would you react if I, actually developed cancer or something? And it's coming from a place of anxiety on my end because I'm scared, I'm sick. And we have gotten good at kind of noticing when it's coming from anxiety.
Yeah.
And potentially putting a stop to the game there.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a difference between, like, you're a married couple. You're going to have deep conversations. It's not in the context of the game to have these conversations. So have your deep conversations when you need to have these deep conversations. The point of this was a low-stakes conversation, and anxiety is never a low-stakes situation.
Sometimes I think it's worth just having that self-reflection, too. If you are about to ask a deep question, maybe pause one moment and ask yourself, is this coming from a place of anxiety? And hopefully, if you know your partner well enough and they ask a question and it feels like it's coming from a place of anxiety, it's okay to not respond and ask that.
Well, and to say, are you okay?
Yeah.
That's
no, we've done that where you've asked a question and I'm like, are you scared of XYZ happening?
Yeah.
Because I want to know, is this a fun hypothetical or is this something more serious?
You need to care for my heart. Right
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. That was actually going to be kind of connected to the next thing that I've learned when trying to have these deeper conversations within this game is vulnerability. Mm-hmm. What we were just talking about is you recognizing my vulnerability as I'm asking a question, which is a vulnerable position to be in. You're asking a question and you have to be ready for the answer.
Yeah.
And that can be, especially in deep questions, very intimidating and nerve-wracking. And as much as you are hoping that this is a low-stakes conversation, you know that, you might hit a landmine. And so I think the other person, as soon as you get asked, what if, whatever, just recognizing, there is a heart behind the question and I need to protect their vulnerability a little bit and acknowledge that. But also being vulnerable with your answers is important, not sugarcoating something. If someone asks you a question, don't lie. Be vulnerable, be honest, and trust your relationship.
We try and be as honest and vulnerable as we can. And I think we stay curious and we always assume positive intent. You're asking this question not because you're trying to accuse me, not because you're trying to hurt me. You're trying to understand me. Yeah. I ask questions because I'm just trying to understand your way of thinking. Some examples of these deeper questions that we have literally talked about in our relationship.
Within the past few months.
Yeah. I've worked at a company where there's been a lot of layoffs, and so this question has been relevant. What would we do if we lost our jobs? That has been a real question that we've addressed, and we addressed it in a low stakes environment where, luckily, at that point in time, neither of us had lost our jobs
yet.
But when we talk and we go through that hypothetical situation, it prepared us for when you did lose your job.
Yeah.
Like, we had actually already had this conversation. What would happen? Now, if I also lost my job, I think that would become very real. And of course, we're going to have the conversation like in the moment. Okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
But we've kind of set up what is the other person going to be thinking, and how would we approach this? We've almost game planned a little bit, like informally.
Yeah, it's definitely an informal game plan. This is not where
it was never a promise. That was one thing we never hold each other to. Well, you said 5 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one that we broached over the past little bit here. I mean, we just had a baby, and so a hypothetical question would be, what if we got pregnant this month? 4 months postpartum, what would happen?
Exactly. And a baby's a lot for me. I've never really dealt with kids and babies, and apparently we have an easy one, and I wouldn't know that. I think the baby is a little difficult. So it's a very real question, because it's possible. If you got pregnant this month, it's something we would have to deal with.
Yeah. And it's not the planning conversation.
No.
But it does have stakes, right?
100%.
So while it's a low stakes conversation, it does have the potential of having ramifications here sooner rather than later, or significant ones. If you answered with, yeah, I'd probably want you to get an abortion.
I wouldn't, just a disclaimer.
No.
But if I responded like that, ooh, all right, this just got really serious.
Yeah.
And that may dictate our actions. If I said, yeah, we're not in a place to have a kid, like, I think you're gonna have to get an abortion, that triggers like 25 more questions, and I think that triggers a real conversation that all of a sudden we'd be like, okay, do we need to actually like really plan and like make sure 100% that there's no possibility, because I don't want that to happen. And yeah.
Which is very different than me coming to you and saying, babe, we're pregnant. Yep. And us never having had the conversation. So as daunting as it is.
And if you came in 5 days and you said, hey, actually I am pregnant, all right, like, at the very least, we've had the conversation. Yeah. Another one, as we started, over a couple years ago, like thinking about kids, we had that deep conversation, and we said, what if we had a kid with a disability? How would we handle that? Would we want to have multiple kids? How would we handle working? And it spawned all these additional conversations, but it was a very real topic.
Mm-hmm. And it was one that it was triggered by outside circumstances. You were talking about that earlier. We have watched numerous friends raise their kids with disabilities, and they are superheroes.
They're killing it.
They're just amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they find that strength, and I don't know where they find that courage. And I want to believe I'd have it. When our daughter was in the NICU, I was losing my mind.
We were really vulnerable with each other, that like acknowledging it would be really hard. It's not something that I'm hopeful for. Yeah. It's something I'm scared of.
Yeah.
And I would have to deal with it. We would love that child no matter what, to the ends of the earth, but it would be hard.
Yeah. And you didn't just say, and I didn't just say, well, I would love them no matter what, to just bypass the deep question. While that is a true answer, it is not the full answer, and it's a question worth answering. So, yeah, I agree. I think one of the biggest ones that I've thought of recently that I just was reflecting on, like, past conversations we had had. And it's been an ongoing one. You know, it's not a conversation that we had once. Was just like, what would happen if I went back to holding these really radical Christian beliefs? What would that do to our relationship? And the first time we had that conversation, it was on the heels of us just talking about what we believed. And it was a 10-hour drive of lots of questions, lots of conversation. And it had we were enjoying the theological debates, and we were enjoying getting to know each other's backgrounds, and, oh, you know, I love VeggieTales or whatever. And me showing you bits of my world and you telling me about bits of yours. And it was fun for the whole drive. And then we got to Fresno and we're driving around, and the fun turned into a real question.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, hey, babe, I need to talk to you about something. I wasn't coming in trying to drop the hammer with information.
No, it was a really,
I was curious.
At the time, you were figuring stuff out, and it was a low stakes, like, present reality at that time. It was low stakes because it wasn't currently happening. You weren't already back in your more radical beliefs.
And to clarify because I don't think it was cleanly stated, like, I was deconstructing my faith. It wasn't that I had, like, walked away and had decided I am not a Christian anymore. I was in a process of really wrestling with why I believed what I believed and how that affected me now.
Yeah, reshaping your view.
So it was in a very transitional state while we're having this conversation, not me being like, what if I did a 180? It was more like, what if in this shuffle it landed this way?
And we even put the future out there too. Like, what if it happened in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years?
After we had a kid.
Yeah. But luckily it was a low stakes time that it hasn't happened, and it may not ever happen. It may happen tomorrow or 10 years from now. But it was low stakes at the time, and I think that was the important piece.
And what felt low stakes at the time, and it was low stakes at the time, also came with a very heavy reality attached to it, that it could be a deal-breaking conversation. We were not, you know, it's weird to say it this way. It was like one of those conversations that you could look at it and know realistically this is a reason couples split up.
Yeah.
And it was scary to broach it because I was afraid of what if we're finding the thing that could break us. But I wasn't wanting to wait until it was breaking us.
Yeah.
And I wasn't wanting to just come to you when I was anxious and when I was stressed about it. That drive, when we were just having casual conversation, was the perfect time to take it one step further and ask another question.
A real question, yeah. And we both had our defenses down. We were in that conversation very vulnerable, very honest with each other, even though there was this low stakes but high stakes potential.
Yeah. And you were very empathetic while I was sharing everything. You had mentioned this earlier when we were talking about understanding when anxiety is backing a question.
Yeah.
You knew the weight of what I was going through and what I was talking about. This wasn't a brand new thing to you. I mean, it was kind of one of the first times we talked about deconstructing, but you knew my heart already.
Yeah, I didn't really know what that was, but you had explained and I knew where you were coming from.
Yeah. And, you know, you chose to be honest. You didn't just say things to make me feel better, but you held my heart still.
Yeah. And I think something that we found is these questions, they surfaced fears. They surfaced values. early in our relationship. And I think it's one of the ways we stay empathetic during heavier hypotheticals is we know that fears are going to be there. We try and be honest, try and be vulnerable. Stay curious.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, the What If game isn't about predicting the future. This is not about trying to create a crystal ball.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how someone thinks through the future.
Yeah, I think we keep repeating that point because I think it's so important. I just want to get to know you. That's one of the key things. And I think that is how we go from what we keep calling a game. Again, it never really popped up in our relationship like a formal let's sit down and do it. We've started to incorporate that more of intentionally sitting down and asking a question. But we took that from that game to growth in our relationship, that deepening of trust and alignment and understanding. The whole point of all of this is connection and intimacy and fun and learning.
Yeah. The way you win at this game is truly by coming together and understanding one another. The whole point is to kind of start to possibly anticipate some challenges. It's not going to be your game plan right now, but it's where you go, okay, just like bookmarking that. This might be something that we have to talk about more or discover together. It helps us stay teammates. We're not opponents. It's not you versus me, and we're going to battle out our 2 points of view. This what if conversation, the way you win is by being on the same team, fighting for something together, which is your marriage.
Yeah.
And then, you get to understand the other person's decision making. Later on down the road, when someone's making a decision that you do not understand, how on earth they could ever think that way. Having all of these conversations, playing this game together for years, you understand your partner's way of thinking, their why. So in the heat of the moment, when they make a decision that pisses you off, you have a lot of context as to how they make decisions and what's important to them.
Their values. Yeah. This is something I encourage everyone to try. I 100% suggest do a fun one. Start light. Start fun. Don't jump in with, would you date somebody after I die? It doesn't have to start with so much weight on it. It doesn't have to start with anxiety. Start with a fun one tonight and have a real one in the future, whether it's tomorrow, the day after. Do it intentionally. Sit down and say okay, I want to play a game. What would you do if, and throw a fun one.
Yeah.
And see where it takes you.
So just to recap here, important things to take away from this game and how to play. Play together. Have fun together. Be together. I'm a girl over here, but I'm thinking, you're pulling out the Barbies and you're building your Barbie dream house. You're not making a formal, the Legos, is that what you would have?
Sure.
Yeah. You're playing pretend here. Nobody's making any promises.
Yeah, and I think other takeaway, we mentioned it many times, curiosity. Lead with curiosity, ask with curiosity. You're not trying to control. I'm gonna say this because I can't go an episode without saying communication. Use this as an opportunity to just communicate, talk. It can be anything, lighthearted, spark conversation with your partner.
Yeah, because the whole point of this is connection.
Yeah.
The whole reason you're taking time out of your day to have a little bit more conversation, which is really hard to do in the midst of work and kids and social calendars and everything else that gets thrown into the mix. These quick conversations are about connection. They're about aligning together, being together, enjoying each other.
Yep. So for everyone out there, if you're still listening, thank you for being here. And if you play this game, comment below. Comment below. Let us know. What did you try? What's your favorite what if? Have you done this before? Many questions, but we would love to hear from you. DM us. Put a comment. Call us up.
Yeah.
We want to hear how it went.
And then next week, we are going to be talking about building your village. Finding your village,
like The
people.
Sims? Like the game? What village are you building?
I don't know. I didn't play Sims. I was sheltered.
Okay, then what do you mean? What is building your village?
I mean, identifying those people who support you and strengthen your marriage. That's not The Sims.
No.
Yeah. No. So yeah, next week, building your village, finding the people who support and strengthen your marriage.
Yeah, and if you have any other topics, comment, let us know.
Yeah, we'd love your ideas for inspiration.
Yep.
Our brains get boring.
Well, yours does. Anyways, thank you so much for watching or listening. See you next week. Bye.